This is my Railfan trip to Portage La Prairie, Manitoba in 2012. What a wonderful town. 50 miles west of Winnipeg, a little over 500 miles from Minneapolis. So if you want to do that in one day, you better do it in the high summer. Here it is, Pleasant Town. It's nice that the two railroads pass through town on east-west alignment, so your sun angles are real good. Except in the early morning or the late afternoon, you want to be on the north side of the tracks, but most of the time you stay on the south side. And as I said here, that trains going to the right and in most pictures are eastbounds. Trains go to the left or westbounds unless otherwise noted. So I drove up on Friday, August 24th, got there late in the day. Notice I've got the times on all the pictures. So this train coming in with a couple of SD60Fs on it, which is kind of nice. And not long after, here we go, westbound underneath that bridge. That's the only overpass in Portage La Prairie, and it's a nice vantage point for taking pictures. Over on the CP side, not long afterwards, here comes a C44 and an SD40-2 with a bunch of loaded grain cars. And this was something Carl Rasmussen, I picked this out a long time ago. That is the high rise in Portage La Prairie. And we figured that when we get to be old geezers, which is probably not too far off at this point, we like to grab that apartment up on the top floor because it's got a great view of both railroads tracks. Another train coming in, lots of platforms on it. And then Saturday, full day. Now, early in the morning, you see I'm up on the north side of the tracks. So this is an eastbound train on the CP. Looking nice. They got a beautiful station there. Actually, there are nice stations on both railroads. Via Rail Canada makes their stops at the CN station. Rolling through. Carl and I had gone up there many, many years ago. I can't even remember when it was. Do you remember, Ross? 78, 79?
First time you guys went was 1982.
82. Okay. Just fell in love with the place. I've been back several times. You and Carl and I made that trip once. And then when I've driven west in Canada, I've stopped there and introduced Sydney to it at one point and introduced Loyola to it at one point. So they've got to know what my favorite hobbies are.
So that's interesting to see a Soo Line SD60 still running around.
Huh. Yep. A Triclops.
Yeah. Now that's one of the new GMs, right? Or
right.
EMVs?
Yeah. SD70 something or other. You know,
AE, I think it is.
I don't know if it's an ACE. I don't know if it's an AC or DC. I don't know. It's just a late model SD70 as far as I know. Yeah. And here comes an early C44 with another SD70 behind it. Great town. Nobody ever hassles you. You go into the station, ask the operator what's going on. They're real friendly.
Now is that distributed power on the back?
It is.
Okay. Yeah, they had that good article in Trains a couple of years ago about that. The biggest reason they're doing it not only but braking. Because if you break the front of one of these long monster trains, that air signal has to go all the way back 2 miles. But if you have engines in the back and engines in the middle, all of a sudden you've got brake signal going out four different places.
Yeah, right.
I did a good job on that article. It was interesting.
Yes. Well, this is kind of fun. Seeing a couple of SD40-2s. Of course, you and I remember when those were new, and that was the state of the art on the railroads.
Yes.
So, but I believe Canadian National is the only railroad that ordered the SD40-2 with that cab on it.
Yeah, it looked kind of funny with the porch and having that cab, but hey, they got the rest of the railroads, even the IC to buy North American cabs. So.
Yeah, that took a while.
Oh, it took them a long time. They were still buying SD70s with conventional cabs.
Conventional cabs. Yeah, those are nice looking engines.
And the Norfolk and Western was buying them because they ran, of course, long end first. Well, that was nice to protect the crew in case of a grade crossing accident, but oh, by the way, they're breathing diesel fumes all day and they're ending up with lung problems and everything else. So once they found that out, they reversed it. Now they run short end first.
You would have thought common sense would have suggested that.
Well, you know, no, and Norfolk and Western is they get the trophy almost every year because of safety. They're fanatics on it, but
Yeah.
you got to think of all aspects. Oh, that's a nice shot. That's a calendar shot right there.
Yeah, that's not me. I met this nice guy from Winnipeg named Manny Jacob, and he sent me a few of these pictures. He was
Oh, that's a nice one.
really
No,
nice guy.
That's actually that's a GE. Okay.
It is. Yeah. There's the IC engine. I don't know if they picked those up from Conrail or what. I think there were half a dozen of them.
Yeah, that looks like an old Conrail. Yeah. So that's a GE. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. If you're following the times on these, a bunch of them are pretty close together. They just run
Yeah.
a whole lot of trains through very, very quickly.
I think Carl used to say they'd run them in fleets.
Yep.
So it's because of track maintenance and stuff like that. So they're down to single tracking spots and
Well, you'll see why here in a minute.
okay.
Okay, Manny took this picture and you can see that he's got it. He's got a little watermark on it down there with the time and indicating his name. So he took that. That was the same train as the last one there.
Okay.
Okay, here comes another one after another.
Now that's one of those lease jobs, right?
Yep. CEFX. More stuff roaring through. They're really piling up. I think we must have had about 8 trains in an hour. Here it is. He says, west end of town's the Diamond, only place in Canada where the 2 railroads main lines cross at grade. The westbound Canadian is expected through at 1 p.m. Both railroads stuff as much traffic through that junction as they can before the passenger train ties everything up. Once the Canadian's passed, good time to go to lunch because everything goes quiet. Nice to have an expert like that explaining it to me.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So here she comes, 1300, the Canadian, 22 cars of pure class. When I was on the train from Spokane back to Minneapolis, I met a nice Canadian fellow who'd been visiting a friend in Vancouver, and he was on his way home to Toronto. And I asked him why he was riding Amtrak instead of Via Rail Canada. And he said, because Via Rail Canada is twice as expensive.
Oh wow. But you do get to ride in Bud cars, which is that would almost be
Right.
worth it with Bud
Yeah.
domes. Oh
Uh-huh. That classy. They'll have sometimes 4 or 5. You can see 3 of them on here.
yeah,
There we go. Isn't that a classy train?
that is a big train.
Yeah.
Oh,
Now you can see this path in the foreground. There were tracks here at one time. I think when you and Carl and I were up there were all grain elevators along the south end of the tracks,
yes.
docks and all that sort of thing. That's all gone. Nice, beautiful, clear views.
Yeah, those small elevators. If they can't load 100 cars, they don't survive.
Yeah. Now this is over 2 hours after the Canadian passed. Okay, now we've got some freight action starting to come through again.
Yeah, they probably have a block of time for it and allocated. And
Well, the 2 main lines come in from the east and they cross and split up. And I know they go 4 different directions out the west end of town. It might be 5. I'm not even sure.
which is the Minnedosa sub,
It heads kind of northwest out of Portage la Prairie.
and that's on the
CP.
that's on the CP. So that would go up to they do go up to Edmonton, don't they?
Yeah, but not from there. They go up to Edmonton, I believe, out of Calgary.
Oh, okay. Oh, they go straight north. Okay, so this
Yeah, I'm not really sure.
okay.
Now this is the Churchill train. He's come a long way
Wow.
and he's nearly home
So he comes down from Churchill, was it to La Paz?
to the
And then
pass, and then, yeah, which is right on the Saskatchewan border.
And then they go to, and then they terminate in Winnipeg, right?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a pretty good sized train too. Yeah, I was up there visiting the some of the dams on the Nelson River, and they have to pay people a premium to go up there. They usually the Manitoba Hydro employees,
Mhm.
because it just, he said, it's the winters are actually better than the summers. Their winters are cold and everything, but the summers, they start in the spring with these tiny mosquitoes that just drive you crazy, and then they go to bigger mosquitoes, and then they die off, and then small flies, and then finally big flies. Those,
Yeah.
and they're just, and then many more times than we have here in Minnesota, and it just, oh, he said it was just those big flies at the end. They'll bite and they take a chunk of your, you know.
Yeah. A lot of those are the size of small hummingbirds.
Yeah, yeah. And then he took me over to a tree, a little looked like a baby spruce, a pine tree, carnivore, and it was he said it's probably about 50 years old, because they're right about at the tree line, because the season is so short that they only grow tiny amounts. So it was about 4 feet tall and it was 50 years old.
Yeah. Oh, that one's had a little problem along the way.
Oh, dead in transit.
Well, that one's leading, but he's pretty scuzzy.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of amazed, because the Canadians used to take really good care of their stuff. The stockholders must be the penny counters must be taking over the railroad. Well, they are. We know they are. Okay, now
Okay,
that's
the crossing. That's the CP
crossing.
main line going across.
That's the CP main line going across. So what's the
At
other
this point, you can see the two Canadian National lines are starting to diverge as they leave.
Okay.
This guy was cool. Ted, I can't remember his last name, but I saw that license plate. I said, "Hey, is that yours?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Okay, I got to get a picture."
What is
P man?
P?
P man. Portage La Prairie man.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you'd have to be from Portage La Prairie to understand that one.
Yeah, and it seems to me, if I remember correctly, he told me he had never been in the United States.
Yeah. There are people that do not travel. When I was in the Air Force, we went over to Whitey's, was a really nice restaurant in East Grand Forks Steakhouse, and we met two guys there who had never been to North Dakota. They've been in Minnesota their whole lives, and it's a mile away, and they'd never gone to North Dakota.
Well, I grew up in Central Ohio, and I had friends that had never been out of the state.
Yeah, yeah. Some people just do not travel.
Okay, so this is Sunday morning, 8 o'clock, getting started. Okay, and shortly after 8 o'clock, 8:36, I'm leaving town. But get a load of this. Look at the time, 8:36. Just crossed the Trans-Canada Highway, heading east. So I got on the highway, Trans-Canada, heading for Winnipeg. And I get to the ring road and I turn south. It's like hitting 494 and heading south toward Eden Prairie. 39 minutes later, 40 miles away, there's the train.
Wow. They move right along.
Already stopped in a siding. So he had to be averaging higher than 60 miles an hour.
Oh,
Quite
yeah.
a bit higher than 60 miles an hour.
Yeah, it's good track. Wow.
Yeah.
He's got plenty of power.
Impressive, 3 SD60s. Then coming along Highway 10, what the heck? May as well keep watching trains all the way down. Oh yeah, this one was hot. This intermodal, and I left Dilworth and arrived at Little Falls at the same time.
Wow. That's impressive.
I was driving 60, 65, but of course I was slowing down for every town along the way.
Yeah.
This point in 28 minutes, there were 3 westbounds between
Wow.
Staples and Wadena.
Yeah,
I
the
got-
fleets, like Carl used to say.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Got home before the sun set there. So that is the show.
Great.
I hope you enjoyed the show, as they say.